Cheap and Cheerful, and it's time for a quickie, a very short, simple video on this AliExpress portable Nespresso pod machine. So I was looking around on YouTube and all I could see were those useless automated bot reviews where they just read off the spec sheet, total garbage. So I figured I've been using this thing for 6 months now. I can tell you exactly what the deal is, the good bits, the bad bits, and help you decide whether you should get one of these or not. That's coming up next. Alrighty, so I bought this myself using my own money. I put through about, 50 or 60 Nespresso capsules through this thing over the last 6 months. Quick answer, do I like it? Yes, I do, and I'm not alone. The store I bought this from has sold tens of thousands of this model. There's almost 7,000 reviews alone, which is huge. I've never seen that many reviews on a single product on AliExpress before, and it averages about 4.6 out of 5, which is pretty good considering a bunch of those buyers probably thought they were getting some kind of male health enhancement device. Totally different tool. Do not stick it in this one, guys.
I got it stuck. Oh!
So very cheap right now. $38 Australian, shipped 24 euros, shipped to Europe, $34 US shipped to the United States of America. Prices go up and down constantly on AliExpress, so check for coupons, sales, all that kind of thing. Personally, I'd be happy paying twice as much as I did. I think $38 for this is way too cheap for what it is. They're 3 times as much in big box stores, and the quality's great. It looks and feels well made, good materials, no concerns there. So I use it for these typical Nespresso capsules. It can also do DG capsules, which I think is the larger Dolce Gusto, or you can use your own coffee grounds. There were some accessories included, which I've probably thrown away. Now, this is how it works. We take the cup off here and unscrew this bit at the bottom. We pop our Nespresso capsule in there, give it a little bit of a push, screw it back on. Make sure it's tight to help it puncture the seal. If you find it's not extracting and it's just running and no coffee's coming out, make sure you've got this nice and tight, not ridiculously tight, but just nice and firm. Put our cup back on. That's where the sweet caffeine will dispense into. So for water, you've got 2 options in the top here. Either letting the machine heat up your water by adding some room temperature water in there and double-clicking a button here. It'll heat it up real hot and then start extracting. Or you can just add hot water yourself and then long press the button on the front and it'll just go straight to extracting. Now, obviously, I'd recommend you only use the heat up mode if you don't have access to hot water, since it takes like 4 or 5 minutes to heat up the water. And there's not a huge amount of capacity in there. I think there's 60 or 70 mil. So if you like a big cup like me, you might find yourself doing it twice, 10 minutes. It kind of sucks. So it is a great feature though, heating up the water to have, especially if you're out camping or in the car or whatever. For me, I use it at work because the one that everybody else uses is always filthy and I'm not touching that. Most workplaces where I live will have a Billy hot water machine, which is perfect, or at least a kettle. Plus, by not using the water heater, you'll save a bunch of battery, and more battery equals more coffee. So for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll get it to heat up the water so we can test out how hot it gets. If I recall, it was a decent temperature, not boiling, but certainly hot. So I'm just going to add in some room temperature water here. As you can see, not a huge compartment, but just enough for 1 espresso. All right, and we'll put that back on. Okay, so then we're just going to, as it says on the front here, double click heat water. So we'll do that. So while we're waiting for that to heat up, some great videos coming up this month, doing a review of this knockoff Anchor power supply Powerbank, 192 watt hours. It's an absolute monster. Outputs, let's see, 120 watt, 140 watt via the Type-C here. Testing that one out. Also got another DIY power bank. This one though does 100 watts PD, uses 21700 batteries. Got that coming up. Also got Finersi with some interesting tools they're sending me to review. Thermal Master sending a few interesting thermal cameras with a giveaway. Also checking out some dirt cheap but powerful tablets. So a whole bunch of videos coming later this month. Okay, so that's done. I'm just going to press the button on there. And let's check how hot that is. Pretty sure it's hotter than 27. It's the reflection, so it's saying 65. Yeah, about 65 is the most I'm getting out of that, though it might be higher. It's hard to tell because the water and the liquid's going to be reflecting, and trying to take a temperature with anything reflective is not so easy. So now that's done, you can see there's not a huge amount of coffee in there. It's typical espresso maybe, which is what I think these pods are supposed to be used for. I don't know. I'm not a coffee nerd. I just drink the stuff. So I usually add in another round of hot water and run it again just to get a bigger cup, but we'll skip that. 65 degrees, not too bad, fine by me. Coffee connoisseurs or those people who like the coffee scalding 3rd degree burns hot might not be impressed, but hey, it's portable. It's not meant to be your everyday coffee machine. So coffee itself looks good, same as it does when it comes out of my regular pod machine. You can then pour it into a proper ceramic mug, add in your fresh milk and whatever you like. So now after you've enjoyed your coffee, you need to clean it up ready for next time. First we remove the top again, take out the capsule that's been punctured as you'd expect. One thing that can happen, I'll just take this off. If you notice that little yellow bit in there, it's a rubber seal. A few times early on when I was using this machine, somehow I was making that push out or pop out. I never figured out exactly how, but it did stop happening after I did these two things. First, when you're rinsing it out, don't blast a jet of hot water down there really strong in case it pushes it out. And second, when you put it back on, make sure it's centered, because if you look at this thing here, there's that real pointy bit of metal there. It blasts the hot water out. I'm pretty sure probably how it got caused was by putting it on the wrong way, and yeah, just forcing it out, because that goes directly in the center there. So just be careful when you're putting this back on. Just be gentle, don't force anything, and you'll be perfectly fine. Like I said, that hasn't happened since the first couple of weeks of using it, so just something to be aware of. So that's how it works, but how many cups of coffee will we get out of this from a charge? So if you're using it to heat water, according to people who use it for that mode, it'll only last about 5 or 6 reheats and extractions, which isn't much, but heating water consumes a lot of energy. If you use it like me, or put in the hot water on yourself, I estimate I get about 12 to 14 extracts, which is about 6 or 7 double-sized cups before I recharge. It might do a bit more, but I charge as soon as the light starts flashing red. I've seen reviews on AliExpress say tens of cups, but I don't know about that. Would I recommend this? Absolutely. This is a great gadget if the coffee machine at your work is filthy, if you're out traveling, camping, or just need something better than instant when you're out and about. Obviously, you should not use this as your permanent coffee machine, portable or emergency caffeine intake only. Charge it occasionally, chuck it in your work bag with a few capsules, and you're set. If you like one of these, link is in the description. If you like buying stuff from AliExpress or gadget stores generally, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.